Have you ever wanted to know more about exotic meats, like where they come from, what they taste like, or how they might be able to solve your dog's food allergy? We've got that and so much more for you today on this edition of the Inside BS Show. Hey now, I'm Nikki G. This is the Inside BS Show, and we are talking all about exotic meats today. We have a special guest that I can't wait to introduce you to. Before we do that, I'm going to bring up my partner for the show, Dave Lorenzo, the godfather of growth. Dave, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey now, Nikki G. I am absolutely fantastic. As you can imagine, we're talking about my favorite subject, meat. Who doesn't love meat? Everybody wants to know about meat. You want to know how to get meat delivered to your house. You want exotic meat. We got all that for you. I mean, I could not be more fired up for this show. Nikki G, what's your favorite meat? And let's see if Pete has it available. What is your favorite exotic meat?
A favorite exotic meat? Probably bison.
Oh
That's
my
pretty
gosh,
solid. It's not
he's
exotic,
got
I know.
bison all day long.
He's
So
got
I
he's got
learned
snake, he's got kangaroo. I was
you
looking
don't
at the
know.
options. I've never even tasted half of the options that Pete has got.
So the reason that we even know Pete is because Pete was a sponsor of a charity event that I spoke at. It's got to be like 2.5 years ago now for one of my dear friends out in Chicago. And Pete came to this event with a wheel of meat. Okay, I am not joking. So picture, I wish it was the size of like the Price is Right wheel. It's actually like the size of a church, like a church like spin wheel. And on the wheel were all different kinds of meat. There absolutely was bison, there was venison, there was rattlesnake, there was of course like alligator. I mean, gator is like, like I live in the Everglades, so gator is pretty common, but there was also yak. He has, you name it, it's on there. And by the way, I just want to, for those of you who are at home and you're thinking, what about the kimono dragon? Was the kimono dragon on there? That's not a thing. I mean, that is like, it's not a thing that Pete would have. And it's not, I don't even think it's a thing, but we can ask him. So, Nicola, let's talk about exactly what the business of exotic meat is and who his clients are. Let's go ahead and bring Pete in. Good afternoon now to you, Pete. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks, guys, for having me on your show. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you guys all about exotic meats and new ventures that we're doing here.
Well, we are looking forward to speaking with you all about this topic, Pete. It's such a pleasure to have you join us. So why don't we let's get cooking.
Oh boy!
Sounds
Wow!
good.
Wow!
That sounds like one of Dave's jokes. Now, come on.
Wow!
Maybe he's rubbing up. We're spending a lot of time together these days. But no, this topic is so interesting. Anytime you've gone to a restaurant, you've seen these meats there, or someone's talked about tasting it, you always start to wonder, like, where does this even come from? But I want to start with, like, how did you get into this?
Well, it's an interesting question. I've been asked that many times, and my answers always remain the same. I'm Greek, so either I own a restaurant or I sell food for a living. So I decided not to open up a restaurant, which is probably a great thing to do. And I started Chicago Game a little over 28 years ago now. My brother and I partnered up back in the day, and about pandemic, he retired, but my wife and I now are partners in the business. So, yeah, we started out very tiny little place in the west side of Chicago. We grew over the years and added some more people and more clients, and here we are 28 years later, and we're still made it through the pandemic, and everything is, moving forward. So that's how we got started. Before that, was in the seafood business. So I started at the ripe old age of 17 in the food industry, and moved my way into a specialty game company, and that's where I got my start. Was there for about 5 years, and then progressed into saying, you know what, I could do this on my own, and so I started in 1996 with Chicago Game and Gourmet. So, and the rest is history.
So was it something you enjoyed the subject, or like you were like fascinated by exotic meats? Like how meats?
Yeah, so when I started, I actually walked into a seafood store. You know, back in the day, they didn't have seafood in every grocery store like they have today. So, and in a butcher shop, you know, they just fascinated me. I was like, wow, this is really cool. It's exciting. I love food. I love trying different foods. Always have, always will. And then when I got the opportunity to, like I said, get into the exotic meat world, that just fascinated me. Like, where do these come from, and why do people eat them, and how do you cook them, and what do they taste like? And so it just all was very, very cool. So yeah, so we started out, and I didn't have a clue as to what these things tasted like, and so slowly over a period of time, you know, I got to learn where things came from, and we get our animals from very small farms. I mean, the game meat world is so small. It's like a pimple on a bull's ass. It's very, very tiny in the food world. So we're kind of off in, you know, the corner of the room. Yet we're very regulated, so everything is still on above board. Things are inspected by, you know, USDA officials and things like that. So nothing is, you know, shot in the wild and then brought to your table. So yeah, small local farms is where we try to focus from, but we get our products from all over the world, from New Zealand, Australia, from Europe. Um, so yeah, pretty much everywhere you can think of, it comes from. So not everything is native to the United States, as you can imagine. I mean, yak is raised in Canada and brought down into the States. A lot of venison and elk is farm raised in New Zealand. I get python meat from Asia. So it's kind of all over the place where some of this stuff comes from. But bison, and there is a lot of farm raised elk and venison here in the States. Wild boar, of course, comes from southern states, Texas, and all through Louisiana. Um, and of course, gator, that comes from Florida and from Louisiana. So yeah, it's exciting.
So Pete, give us the whole spectrum. So I stood in front of, and this is no joke, folks. I stood in front of the wheel of meat for a good 15 minutes looking at all the different types of meat. So give us the spectrum, whatever you can recall that you have available for people to order right now. So take us through some of the stuff.
So let's go. We got alligator, antelope, bison. There are things that are legal that we don't have, but let's just skip those for now. But things like raccoon and beaver and things like that, they're just not as popular and is not readily available. But kangaroo, iguana, python, venison, elk, yak, wild boar. I mean, pheasant, quail, guinea hen, duck, quail. It kind of can go on and on and on.
So what have you eaten that you said to yourself, okay, now I know what that tastes like. I think I'm going to pass on that next time it comes around. For the Peter Andrews palate, what is something that you're fine with other people ordering, but for you, you're not going to serve it at Thanksgiving?
Well, there isn't anything I sell now that I don't eat, not on a regular basis. I mean, I've tried everything. Many, many years ago, when zebra was legal, that's back when equine horse meat was legal in the United States. That was pre 2000, early 2000s. I did do a predator prey dinner where I had lion and zebra on the menu. So those were two very interesting, completely opposite ends of the palate spectrum, since one was a meat eater and one was an herbivore. So, but yeah, I mean, times have changed, things have changed. People are looking for more center of the road, middle of the road type of products that they would be more comfortable with, and bison and venison and elk, wild boar seems to be our more popular favorites. Duck, of course, pheasant. So nothing too crazy anymore. certainly, well, one of the more craziest ones that I get now is iguana. We call it chicken of the trees. So it's just kind of a medium flavored white meat like a chicken, so nothing too crazy. Even though it has a big long whipping tail and almost a Komodo dragging look, Dave, like you
Yeah.
like to say.
So Pete, let's talk about the reasons why. So the reasons why people like, for example, like bison or venison. Explain the why people are gravitating toward those meats now.
Well, I mean, health, right? That's number one. They're looking for something that's heavy on the protein, low on the spectrum of fat and cholesterol, and low on the calories. So game meat fits that category. I mean, pretty much all of them fit there. Some are higher than others, but venison, elk, bison, those are the top. And actually, kangaroo fits that as well. I mean, real high in protein, very high in iron, super low in cholesterol, super low in fat, all beef chicken, all beef turkey. That's why people are looking at these things. And plus, it's different, right? It's not the same old, same old. I mean, everybody's been on a diet before. Everybody's changed their meal plans, especially this time of the year, at the beginning of the year, New Year. And people are like, I'm sick and tired of chicken. I'm sick and tired of grass-fed this, that, and the other thing all the time. Let's try something else. So it's a great variety. It's a great change up in your menu, your meal plan.
So do you yourself look at the nutrition profiles of some of these meats when you're deciding, whether you're going to add that to the array of products that you provide?
Yeah, I mean, those are benefits. That's not the primary thing I look at. I mean, we get what our customers are kind of requesting, right? So, over the last, 28 years, this is kind of where we've honed in on. Like I said before, there used to be some things that we had that we don't have anymore. Um, Caribou, that being one of them, right? Caribou is a product that comes out of Canada and is um, kind of dictated by the Inuit Indians that are up there that allow the caribou to be brought into the States, and that hasn't happened in over 15 years. So there's things that have changed, and the dynamic of the way people are thinking on what they really want to eat has changed. So, fortunately, not everybody's geared towards plant-based, and they still enjoy a good steak or a good burger. So.
I think a lot of people don't realize there's a protein alternative to beef, chicken, fish. I think they don't know about bison. They don't know about venison. Maybe they know about venison because they have family members or friends who are hunters, but they don't know that it's commercially available, that you can actually get it. And there's one meat that you mentioned that if you know where to get it, you can get it, and it's plentiful and it's high in protein. And people are going to laugh when I say this, but kangaroo meat, they like that you can get it. There's so many, like they do population control of kangaroos in Australia like we do population control of deer here in the US, and it's high in protein. I don't believe I've had it. Nicola, have you had kangaroo?
No, no, I would love to know what that tastes like.
Pete, what does kangaroo taste like?
So the closest thing I can tell you kangaroo tastes very much and looks like is venison. It's super dark purple meat, um, very, very high in iron and protein. So again, any of these meats that we're talking about is got to have to be cooked to a medium at the most. Medium rare is better. And Dave, you brought up something that people always talk about. It's like, I've had venison before. I don't like it. It was gamey, and gamey is a big term, right? In my industry, it's how gamey is it? Well, that is really comes down to how the animal was processed. So if the animal is humanely processed, as all of ours are, there there is no adrenaline running through the animal. So that's what happens when they're hunted. So when Dave goes out and he pulls out his buckshot and he shoots a deer, and it takes him 4.5 hours to get it back. By the time he cooks it for you, Nikki, it's going to be full of adrenaline. It's going to be gamey as hell, and you're going to be like, "This is disgusting. I'll never eat venison again." If he did the same thing with a cow, you would have a very similar experience. But you've never had that experience because they don't hunt cows. So most people don't translate that as the same thing. So that's a difficult thing in the food industry for even a chef to translate to a customer is how does that taste? Is it gamey? It really goes back to how the animal was processed in the beginning. So yeah, everything that we sell, like I said, is humanely processed. There is no gaminess. The off flavors are going to come from either overcooking or under seasoning.
That is fascinating. So I've had deer meat because I grew up in Pennsylvania. Folks hunt deer; they have to. They're overpopulated there. It's a hunting season just for the deer population, and I felt that way about tasting when I tasted it. Deer jerky or what other forms that I had tasted it in. It tasted. I mean, I guess the word that you hear most often is gamey. I didn't like it, but that's a great explanation because that might be a completely different taste had it not been hunted and had it been, raised on a farm where you source different type of deer and venison meat, so different flavor. So I think that's really fascinating that you're sharing that with us, and it might, cause our listeners to say, let me give that another try, and let me give that another try through, a source like yours, or try it at a restaurant,
Right.
and it could taste completely different.
Absolutely.
So how do you, I mean, where do you go to find some of this, right? You're like, okay, I've got a demand for kangaroo meat. Let me go source some of that. Like, how do you actually do that as a business owner?
Well, I mean, there are farms and there's people that I've known over the years and have relationships with, and they're today when the internet is around and you can look up different things. Back when I started, it was more word of mouth and getting to know the right people in the right places. So it's still a lot of relationship that we have and who we speak to. This is a very small community of people. Even though you think worldwide, there's still only a certain amount of players in this meat industry, this part of the meat industry. So finding new people, there's always new people starting up game farms, and so they reach out to us. They know who we are, and so therein lies the difference. I mean, there's a few small people that I deal with now that raise specifically for us, and so they're not really out looking for other people. So, which is great, and we buy everything that they can produce, and so those are the local folks, right? That we try to keep in business and get things going with them. So yeah, it's a lot easier now than it used to be. And of course, there's food shows, the NRA show, I mean the National Restaurant Association, not the National Rifle. And there's fancy food shows, and there's things like that we're privy to in the industry itself. Not that everybody can go to those types of things, but so yeah, that's pretty much where we get it.
So let's talk about the business of gourmet gourmet meat, gourmet game. When you're looking to sell your products, there's wholesale and there's retail. How does your business break down?
So pre-COVID, we were 100% wholesale, B2B, and that was it. And when COVID hit, as it hit everybody in a different way, but our business, every single one of our customers closed. So we either had a choice. We can either go out of business or, go into a different arena. And so we chose to go into retail. And unfortunately for us, it took a while to get us up and operational, but when we did, and we are now, we have a small retail store here in our warehouse location, south side of Chicago, but we ship anywhere in the country. And we have a retail store online, chicagogame.us is the URL. And we have a lot of different things on there to choose from all the different game meats that we have, but we try to help the consumer with cooking processes too, right? So we have different fats and different oils and spices and spice blends and things to kind of help them along. We're putting together different packages so that, Nikki, you can try 4 or 5 different things and not have to worry how to cook them all. So we can teach you all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's right now, Dave, we're probably still heavy on our food service side, just because that's what we've been in the entire time, and it takes a while, obviously, to build up your reputation and rapport with retail. But we're working on that. We're selling not only on our retail site, but we're also on Amazon. We have a store on Amazon now. Yeah, we're looking to really progress in that direction with Chicago Game.
Wow. So we can actually find some of these exotic meats being sold through Amazon from your business.
Yes, yeah, we have an actual store on there, which is pretty cool.
And then Amazon handles the shipment, or you do?
No, we still ship everything from
Okay.
here. They're very advanced, but they're not that advanced in order to have refrigerated products at the moment. So we still do all of our own shipping.
And so on the wholesale side, how do you go about, because there may be people listening to the show today who are, who are getting into a wholesale business or who are interested in starting up a wholesale avenue of their current business. What is the process like for you to get into other business locations? Did you have to bring on a sales team? And what was when you first started? How did you get customers? What did you do to go after customers?
Yeah, so we had, just like everybody else, you had to knock on the door, right? You had to go out and you had to visit people. You had to make phone calls, and the internet existed, but it really wasn't a thing in 1996. That was kind of the same year that's what I have in common with Jeff Bezos and Amazon. We started the same year. He was just on a different trajectory than I am. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, Dave. You have to go out and you have to meet with different chefs. You join different organizations. The word spreads. We fortunately happen to be in an arena of a small, unique products. We didn't sell beef, pork, chicken, and lamb when we started. We do now, and we sell all different kinds of gourmet ingredients to go along with it. But when we first started, the company was Chicago Game Company, and that was really what it was. And we had to really change fast in the beginning because there wasn't enough restaurants that sold just game. So the and gourmet had to be added within the first year. So
Talk about relationships, because people don't think about the value of relationships in the B2B sales process. You connecting with a chef and you being able to provide a specific type of meat with a specific cut, the way a specific chef wants it, that's all relationships that you have to develop. Explain that to folks who are thinking, B2B, it's a numbers game, it's not relationship focused. Explain the value of relationships in your B2B process.
So, especially in our arena, it's very unique and the cuts are very different. I mean, as opposed to a cow or beef, the way it's cut up, a kangaroo is cut up differently. A deer and lamb and things like that have different cuts to them. So, chefs obviously go to cooking school. They learn from their proteges. They learn how to do this. But when it comes to our meats, there's still a learning process. There's a little bit of a learning curve, and so we kind of got to walk a delicate dance when you talk to a white tablecloth chef. He doesn't want to be told what to do, and we're not. We're just teaching them what we can teach on our end, right? So knowing our product is everything. We have to know everything there is to know about our product, where it comes from, how it was processed, when it was processed, is it fresh, is it frozen, when do we have to use it by, blah, 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 all those kinds of things, super important, right? And knowing one or two chefs in the beginning was a very good help, because then they gave us, hey, you should call Dave. Hey, Dave, who can I call? Hey, you should call Nikki, right? So that really helped us out a lot, because we did know, and I did hire salespeople that knew how to sell, not just how to take an order. That's a super important part of the process. Is anybody can take an order. That's easy to do, but to actually tell them about the product and how to cook it, how to cut it, how to store it, what goes great with it, and give them ideas, I guess, is not necessarily how to teach them how to do it, but just give them the ideas. That's key, and that was key to our success. So, and customer service is everything. If you lack customer service, forget it. You're not going to survive.
I want to pick up for just a moment on your audience. I mean, in the beginning, it was chefs, and that's a very unique personality in the sense that they've gone to culinary school. They tend to have their own menus. So you're coming into that scenario, whether it was you or a business development person after. How do you really get some of those chefs for the first time to give it a shot, to try something different that they haven't used, and on the menu where they are?
Well, a lot of the times they have the idea, right? And they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, I have an idea. I want to use, bison on my menu, but I'm not quite sure what cut I want to go with, right? So there's a back and forth, a question answer that I'll go through with them. How they're going to cook it, what's their intent, what do they want to, just some things that we go through internally with them and to try to get into the right area. You never tell a chef how to cook something. It's just, that's the wrong angle to go at, because that's what they went to school for. That's why they're in the position they're in, and you learn. I made that mistake one time and never again. So yeah, it's a back and forth process. We do come up with new things from time to time. Different. In this industry, everything has been done over and over and over again. So there's new names, there's different marketing techniques, but it's all the same. I mean, a strip steak is a strip steak, whether you call it a KC steak, a Chicago steak, or a New York strip steak. I mean, it's a strip steak. So, that's whether it's coming off of a deer, or an elk, or a bison or beef. It's a strip steak. So most chefs know how to cook a strip steak, and that's that's how that goes.
So talk about what you're doing right now. So you mentioned at the beginning you got some new things that you're doing. Tell us about some of the new areas that you're getting into with Chicago Game and Gourmet.
So many years ago, about 10, 15 years ago, we started selling some of our more exotic meat items to our local zoo here, right? Lincoln Park Zoo. Then we started branching out into some of the other major food companies that broadened our horizons, and so we started selling other things to zoos in different areas. And so that kind of got us thinking, like, if the big exotic animals are in the zookeepers, or which being the number one veterinarians of the world, were using these items for protein and to feed these animals, then how great would it be for people at home that have dogs and cats and animals like that to benefit from what they do. So this year, Dave, we are starting a company that is geared towards pet food, specifically dogs right now, but we have a product that we're going to be launching this year. I can't really specify the name at this point because I'm still in the process of trademarking that, but they will be 100% protein-based meat items, specifically species. So bison, elk, venison, kangaroo, rabbit, and there's one more thing, and I'm drawing a blank at what it is, but there's going to be 5 choices that we're going to start with. So, and these are going to be protein boosters for a dog's kibble or a snack. So these are going to be really super easy, convenient ways to feed your dog.
All right. So if you're listening to this and you don't have a dog or you don't have a pet, then you can go about cleaning your house or doing whatever you're doing. But if you do have a dog, I will tell you, if your dog is scratching, or if your dog is doing the butt scoot, or if your dog leaves a third or more of his or her food uneaten, or if your dog has gastro upset leading to vomiting or just they bomb the room out with a nasty smell coming out of their booty, you probably have an allergy problem. And I discovered this because I have two dogs that are brothers. They came from the same litter, one in the front of the litter, one in the middle of the litter. And my guy in the middle of the litter is allergic to all kinds of protein. And it took me 3 years to get to the bottom of what he's 4 now. And we just got to the bottom of his allergies a year ago because we finally agreed to do a blood test to figure it out, because this guy was he would eat something, he would get hives. He would eat something, he would throw up. He would eat something, and we would all have to move out of the room for like an hour and a half because it stunk. Like, he would have all kinds of, and the poor dog is like the nicest, sweetest dog, and his quality of life was horrible, and we didn't know what to do for him. So we had to do what you would do with any other living being and do like an elimination diet. And we thought we had it nailed down, and we were just giving him chicken as the protein, and it turns out his chicken allergy started out really minor, and as we gave him chicken more often, it exacerbated the allergy. So we did the blood test, and we finally got it narrowed down. He's allergic to just about every type of normal protein. So beef, pork, chicken, he's allergic to. So what we did was he has a base of food, which is a vegetarian kibble. It's all plant-based products, but he needs iron and he needs protein. So we discovered that fish, which he's not allergic to, and fish can be really expensive. So we had to figure out a fish that would make sense for our budget, along with his diet, that we could give him. And he happens to be a really big guy. He's over 100 pounds. So we had to come up with a fish that we could give him enough of, that, and also a fish that when his body processed it, didn't make him smell like the seaport. So that was an entire process. Here's the thing I didn't know until I met Pete, is that because these exotic meats that Pete has, that he mentioned, are exotic, there's a really good chance that even my dog with these terrible allergies is not allergic to them. Like, for example, so when you do a blood test for your dog, they will, if the vet sends it to the right place, they will come back with recommendations of products you can feed them. Like, the top of the list of products for my dogs, right below fish, was kangaroo meat. And that's one of the things that Pete had recommended to me like 2 years ago when I was telling him about this. And it shouldn't be as hard to find it as it is, but it's difficult because the kangaroo meat has to be shipped to you frozen. It's not like they can dry it and kibblefy kangaroo. It's hard to find places that will ship kangaroo meat frozen. But what you do is you can give them a base of vegetarian kibble and mix in a half a cup or a quarter cup of the kangaroo meat with each feeding, and that gives them the protein. The other thing it does is it makes the food taste a lot better. It makes that crappy vegetarian kibble taste a lot better, and the dogs will eat the whole thing. This is why I'm so excited about what Pete's doing, because I will tell you, it was difficult as a pet owner for me to find a place that would ship like the kangaroo meat in a way that would get it to the house so that I could store it. Because you can imagine, with two dogs, one 70 pounds, one over 100 pounds, we have to store a lot of food because they eat a lot. So I think this is a great market. Pete, how are you planning to distribute the protein toppers and the treats and the snacks that you're producing for pets? How is that going to be distributed?
Well, we're going to have a website up running soon, and we're going to ship directly to your house. But just touching back on what you were just saying, Dave, every meat that we're going to have specific to the species will be 100% pure ground meat. There's not going to be any additives, there's no preservatives, there's no chemicals, there's nothing. And the meat starting out itself is hormone free, no antibiotics, so these are premium grade, human grade products that you could take a bite out of, Dave, before you even feed it to your dog and say, okay, I approve, and you're going to be healthier than any, and then get out. So I mean, that's the way we're going to start with this thing. So yeah, we're gonna put these things into a subscription base that you can have, just automatically comes right to your house. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. On dry ice, everything is shipped frozen. but in convenient packages so that you can pull out what you need when you need it. If you're afraid of serving raw to your dog, you don't have to worry about that because these are coming in small pucks. They can be easily put in a microwave and cooked in a minute, minute and a half. So, and then it's ready to go. So, super convenient, super healthy, great products for especially allergies. That, like you said, kangaroo is a hypoallergenic meat, which is specifically great for allergies. When you switch to chicken, you probably didn't go all organic, antibiotic free, and all that. You just got chicken, right? You just went that direction. But a lot of people miss that step. That's what people are allergic to, are all the chemicals and everything that are put into the feed for these animals. And so, you know, we try to take all that out of this, and we've done that. So I think it's going to be an interesting project coming up here.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, the pet market, I mean, at least in the United States, is massive. It's
About
something like
300
150
billion.
billion, yeah, billion-dollar industry. Like what led you to say, okay, like this is going to be the next extension of our business, is going into the pet market? What really caused you to do that?
Well, I mean, I'm a dog owner too, right? And I've had 5 dogs at one time. I'm unfortunately down to 1 dog right now, but yeah, she's allergic to different things. So she's very lucky that we have the ability to use her as a guinea pig and feed her a lot of different things. And my daughter is a vet technician, so she's very instrumental in helping us design this. And again, when I work with the professionals at the zoos and things like that, I get a lot of feedback, and we're trying to hone in on exactly what's going to be the best for people's pets. Our intent is never to mix species, never to mix anything in here. It's 100% pure, you know, specific species to whatever you're looking to serve your animal.
And Pete, when the meat comes in from other countries, is there anything you need to do in terms of like changing the size or making it ground, or it comes like as you then turn it around and deliver it to the end user?
So we're talking for this program or for food service? Because
Let's talk
we,
about the dog, yeah, well,
oh
not
yeah,
necessarily dog, the
we
pet industry first.
yeah, we have a local meat processor that we're working with. So yeah, when we get product in here, we bring in trimmings, we bring in whole muscles, and I have them, you know, run them through the process that needs to get run through, whether it's grinding or, you know, removing of whatever needs to be, sinew and things like that. So yeah, it definitely needs to be manufactured into you know, the final version.
Okay, Pete. So, how can people find out more about what you're working on at Chicago Game and Gourmet, whether they want meat for themselves delivered to their home and they want variety packs to get so they can grill, or they want to learn about what you're doing in the area of pets, or if they're a zookeeper and there's a zookeeper listening who wants you to send him stuff for his animals in the zoo? I mean, this is so I want to make sure people don't gloss over that. The people who care the most about animals went to you for the food for their animals. So that tells you the quality of the product that you have. How can people find you to find out more about what you're doing, and where do they go to get information? How can they get in touch with you specifically?
Okay, well, our website is the easiest place to start. It's chicagogame.us. That's not .com, but .us. You can email me directly at peter@chicagogame.us. Our phone number is right on our website, but it's 312-455-1800. Super simple. All those are very, very simple. You'll find us all over the internet. Just Google us, Chicago Game, and we're one of the first choices that comes up. Like I said, we're also on Amazon if you prefer to go that way. But we're located on the south side of Chicago, 700 West Root Street in Chicago. You know, we're very easy to find. We have a small retail store here, and we're anxious and happy to help anybody that has any questions. I'm available pretty much all the time.
All right, folks, you heard it here. That's right, the Inside BS Show, taking you inside, giving you the insider business secrets on exotic meat. Where else are you going to get this? No place else but here. Thank you, Peter Andrews. If you want to get in touch with Pete, we're going to put all of his information down in the show notes. If you are ever in the Chicagoland area and you want to spin the wheel of meat, we're going to put Pete's address so that you can check out his retail store. And if you want to attend a great charity event where the Wheel of Meat will be making an appearance, we're also going to put the information about Tom Ladere's Beat Bill and Tom program, which is a fantastic charity. That's where I met Pete in the first place, and that's where the Wheel of Meat came from in the first place. So thanks, Peter Andrews, for joining us today. This is the Inside BS Show. We're here with you every single day at 6 a.m., every Wednesday, with a brand new interview. I'm Dave Lorenzo. I'm the godfather of growth, and my co-host, you know her, she is
Nikki G.
We'll see you back here again tomorrow, folks. Thanks for joining us.